Over the years, I've been asked so many times for a hair tutorial. I do it myself and it kind of varies depending on the length, as you can see. But I'm going to do my best to show you how it is that I do my hair and talk a little bit about what kind of haircut I have. My haircut is based off of this haircut that used to be popular in Japan and they called it a mullet. It's basically a lot of layers with a disconnected length and it was really popular with scene haircuts. I like it because the cut's pretty versatile. To really dig into it, I'll show you here. So you can see I've got a lot of layering on the top and compared to the overall length, it's pretty short. But these layers are what creates that full effect. I vary my haircut by blending it a little bit more. How I always start my haircut is by separating out where I want the shorter layers to begin and the disconnected length. That way, as I cut, I'm not taking away from the perimeter. As you can see, those layers are pretty separate from the overall length. I also tend to pull more of my hair forward as opposed to parting it in the middle or on the side. For the layers themselves, I cut all of this with a razor, and I separate out each section to pull it forward. Now, this always reminds me of when I was a teenager, but I take it all forward to a central point, normally using like the bridge of my nose, and I'll be bringing all of the layers forward to that point and razor cutting them, being sure to feather the ends and some of the bulk out at the same time. So as you can see, when I bring it all to that one point, there's not a lot of overhang because it's all coming to that central location. When you get to the end of your section and nothing else reaches, it's time to blend in a bit of the layers in the face framing. I do this by making sure I don't pull anything from too far behind the ear and feather that down with my razor. And that's the haircut. On to styling. I like to keep it simple. My hair is pretty clean right now, so I just put in a little bit of oil, some leave-in conditioner, and some mousse. This is really the star of the show though. This is my old bedhead beach waver. I start off by just brushing out any tangles that I might have, and then I work in a little bit of product. Not a lot, probably about a dime size amount of both, but I really focus on getting any of those ends that might get frizzy or feel overly dry later, while being careful not to get a lot of it on the roots. I brush through those two products and then it's time for the mousse. With my specific kind of hair texture, it gets really soft and fluffy. So if my hair is too clean, a little bit of mousse is the way to go to help it hold that curl and give it a little bit of texture. Again, I'm mostly focusing on the ends, even the ends of the layers, without getting too much on the roots. And you can see versus earlier, it's definitely holding that texture better. After that, I go through and brush through the product again, just to make sure that there are no tangles or clumps. Now it's on to my favorite part. You can see with the beach waver, that's the shape that we're going for, and you can create different wave patterns by flipping it upside down or right side up. Up next, I separate my hair into a small section starting at the back. I personally like to clip everything else out of the way before I get started. Ideally, I try to keep my parts only about 2 inches wide, and I work pretty quickly with the iron, only holding for a maximum of about 2 seconds. I keep it at about a medium-high heat, but please make sure that you use it according to your own needs. And also using a heat protectant. I know I should have used it, but I ran out. So looking at this in real time, it's pretty quick, and I'm on to the next section, which I normally measure by going at my mid-ear and parting all the way through. Again, depending on the thickness of your hair, this could be different, so make sure that you use your own discretion. I separated these out into about 2-inch wide sections, and now I'm flipping the iron upside down. For me, this is key because it creates a different texture in my wave pattern so that it doesn't end up way too uniform. To me, it also looks a little bit more natural this way. After working through the length, it'll look like this, and now it's time to move into the top section where I have a little bit of a different approach. I keep the sections pretty thin, but at the same time, I make sure to vary if I'm flipping the iron back and forth, so I really get a mix-up in texture on the top. Personally, I like working from the back of my hair to the front, and once that part is done, it looks like this, which is a little crazy, but I kind of just pull everything forward first. Now this is important. You want to shake it up, you want to do things that'll like scrunch it, but you absolutely do not want to pull it through or rake through it as if you're using a brush. So try to keep everything together. It's kind of like when you have a roller set, one of the things that's super important is how you style it in the end. So even though I got all the wave in there that I wanted, it's really going to be this kind of techniques that gets me the shape that I want with the haircut that I have and all of that. Sometimes I'll touch up a few pieces with the iron if it feels like a few pieces are too straight, but overall just manipulating it like this is the best way I know how to do it. And unlike scene hair, I'm not afraid to show you the back. So here's the final result. What do you think? The texture and curl pattern changes a little bit as my hair gets dirtier or as I put in more product. So it's really fun to play around with throughout the week and in between washes. And it's probably one of my favorite go-to styles. What do you guys think? I hope this was helpful and I hope it answered a lot of your questions. Thanks for watching, everyone.